Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Community Report 53 for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. This was released on the 21st of June 2022, and this report is an update for the upcoming release, which is going to add trams, underground metro, and also the Cosmonaut challenge to the game. So we might as well dive straight in. It says, "Greetings, dear comrades of the Soviet Republic. We're getting quite hot out here in Central Europe, and it's more seasonal. Lightning storms are interrupting activities to men. Sometimes things just cannot go according to the plan. We need to face delays and adjust our circumstances. We're aware that you're really excited with the upcoming content update, which will bring Cosmonaut mode challenge to all players and improvements for trams and addition of underground rail public transport. The thing is, there is still a lot we need to work on before we can release this update for public testing. Good news is that the Cosmonaut mode is working well, and we may not require that many tweaks, so we can focus on other stuff we want to add or update. In the last report, we showed you how we were going to change the way how trams work in the game. You know now about the concept, and we are working on basic structures required for trams to operate. Just recently, we added new tram stops, one bigger, one smaller. Now, I'm assuming these pictures are for smaller and bigger stops. So we'll just open the tram up, take a look. Yeah, I would say this is the smaller one because the tram is actually stopping on the roadside, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of that, but this is a stop that you're gonna have to use very carefully because obviously the tram stopping in the roadway is going to block traffic. So this is going to have to be used in dedicated residential areas, as is shown in the background here with these apartment blocks. I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to have a tram stops like this on a route where there's trucks moving by. And then let's just look at the second picture. Oh, this is a bit more like the small bus station where the trams can pull in on one side and then allow the traffic to flow. Again, using trams in an urban area or on roads is certainly, you're going to certainly need to contain them to within the city and away from any major truck routes. But this format could work quite well actually. Quite like the layout of this city. I'm assuming that the small tram stop is in the background there. I'm really liking that. This has answered a question that has been in the back of my mind about what the tram stops will actually look like. Now, if we go down to this next small paragraph, we also want to show how the connection between tram rail, roads and rails will look like. As you can see, you'll be able to connect them quite easily using connecting structures in the picture. It is like a platform with only one side that has a rail connection and on the other has a tram rail road connection. Additionally, we repaired the pantographs of the trams to make them properly connect to overhead wires out on normal electrified railway tram lines. This actually answers a very big question I've been thinking about, especially with respect to my Seven Crosses series, about whether you could have trams running around the road and then transition to rail tracks. And this answers this question. So this is definitely something I'll be looking at in the Seven Crosses series, because of course the first question is that if you're playing Cosmonaut Challenge, how would you build that track, especially as it goes to a depot? I know this is artificial, but this is, again, something you're going to need to consider because I'm assuming that the rail construction trains couldn't come along the road to build this section of track here. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So we may have to actually build feeder tracks to deliver the trams to the road sections. So let's just say, just moving down, we've also added two new 12-story prefab residentials, which are common in Košice. You know, if you want variety, there is never enough residential available, and we want to give more option to those who do not rely on mods. So we're just coming and take a quick look at that. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like these buildings. I like the kind of pattern on the roof. I presume these are pipes, possibly air conditioning, coming down and joining. Well, I can't speculate on how many people would be in here, but I would assume that as they're 12 stories, they're going to be a lot bigger. It's also quite interesting, this turnaround for the trams. This is maybe something we're going to need to think about. If we're planning tram routes, we may need to create actual loops of track so that the trams can actually turn round, because if you just run to a dead end, the tram can't go any further. So we're just going to move down again. It says, then we made a small improvement to graphics. There is now new ultra settings for shadows with which every building will have its own self shadow casting on vehicles and infrastructure. Wow. Now that looks pretty cool, actually. Now, one thing I will say is that this could put a strain on your PCs because shadows in games, especially city building games, can be quite a drain on the resources. So maybe this is something we're going to be taking a look at, but maybe something I won't use all the time. In fact, what we're getting now is a bigger view of the area where the tram stops are, because we got the turning circle there running down that way. I must admit, I quite like this layout, and I assume these are the new apartment blocks because they got the pipes on the roofs. That's pretty cool. And we got some more shadows here. Now I do like that. Shadows coming down across the buildings, actually striking the trams. Again, it's a view of the same city, but with possibly with the sun behind and on the other side of the apartment blocks. Yeah, I'm liking it. Moving down to the final paragraph, you can see we can find new ways on how to improve the game in multiple ways, and we know there are lots of ideas and suggestions for you that may be useful for the game. As we made some progress on the Cosmonaut mode implementation and upgrading the tram infrastructure, we will shift more of our focus to on underground related stuff. There may be more to it as you may think, because currently we found some issues with certain buildings which have underground parts and are in collision with basic water level. So they are impossible to build, but there can be a lot more. We hope you can wait patiently as we still do have any exact date of this update will be ready for internal and public testing. Until then, be careful, enjoy the sunny days safely, and stay tuned for the next report. I mean, that's understandable. I think adding Metro is going to be quite a big challenge to the game, considering the amount of pipes and underground cables and other elements like that. It is going to be very difficult for the devs to add it and ensure its stability. I think that's the key factor because an underground rail system is going to need to be able to run deep under buildings, possibly also under rivers. And of course, when it is going to run into certain buildings, especially with respect to mods who've got underground structures. So I can quite understand why the devs are taking their time to get this done. And I'll be completely honest, I'd rather the devs actually take their time and and deliver something that's working even in to the test branch rather than deliver something that's not completely stable, which then extends the test branch. And of course, if any of that leaks through to the final release, that's going to have an impact on the community as a whole. Anyway, guys, this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. Any comments, feedback, feel free to chuck it into the video comments. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.